Hey everybody, welcome back. Mike from Spectre Comics. Now it's been a long time since I've done a video like this where I'm just kind of drawing and talking about what I'm drawing and talking about my process. And what we're doing in this video is I'm actually drawing a sequence from my comic. I've got my script here and I'm laying out the pages and I'm just sketching it out. And so we're gonna, you can look at the footage behind me and how I laid out this page based on the script. But this scene is particularly difficult because it's an action scene, and I wanted to talk about the difficulty of laying out an action scene, whether it's a comic or a storyboard. I mean, I feel like this would be the same as kind of plotting out a storyboard for a movie or a TV show and the action sequences that they do. I do have a couple of action sequences in earlier issues of my comics, but this one's probably the most complicated. Just to set the scene for you, the Spectre have just arrived on an asteroid and they're about to traverse across the landscape to get to their destination. And they've climbed down the face of a cliff, and when they got to the bottom, these rock creatures came out of the wall and now they're attacking. So they got to defend themselves and try to get away to go to the next part of their adventure. So the way I kind of wrote it was that they, in order to advance to the next stage of their quest, they have to defeat these rock creatures. And what's been hard is I've got 5 characters and then I've got the 2 enemies, and trying to figure out where everybody is and how to shoot it, basically how to set the scene, has been hard, because even though I can see this fluidly in my head as like kind of, I can picture it in my head what's happening, to try to figure out what to feature as I'm sketching it. And on top of that, I can see it quickly in my head because it's an action sequence. Translating that into a sketch, because I'm drawing, I'm trying to be deliberate when I draw so that I do have some detail, but the faster you sketch, the more sloppy my drawings become. I think that would happen to anybody. And I can see this action going on much clearer in my head quickly than I can drawing one panel, then the next panel, and then figuring out how to make each panel depict the action that's happening. In a sequence like this where there's a lot of fast action, you have to draw a lot of panels if you want to depict a certain motion. I have this one scene on the previous page where Spark, my main character, is attacking the rock creature, and he's, they're on an asteroid, so the gravity's low, so he runs towards one of them. He jumps into the air, which, low gravity allows him to jump a lot higher than he would normally be able to jump. And then he plants both feet into the chest, and then he whips his arms around with his dual guns and blasts the rock creature in the head, causing it to explode. And, that was hard to figure out how to show it. I have a sequence of him running, sequence of him jumping, sequence of them landing. I had to plot out each of these panels just to show this one very quick scene. But in order to convey that to the reader who's going to be seeing this, you have to depict each little action individually, and that tends to be a lot of drawings. I like to do not as many panels in my comic because it just takes a very long time to draw everything. And to show a scene like that, scenes like, it's almost expected that the action sequences will have a lot more panels because you're deliberately showing each little aspect of their action. What's more difficult is just having multiple characters. I have a lot of different characters in this scene which are doing battle, and they're all in different locations. I got 2 characters over here because they just got attacked by the rock creatures. I've got 2 characters over here. I've got 1 over here. And then I've got these 2 enemies kind of in the center of all the action, and they're being attacked from all sides, or they're attacking and everybody's defending from, by basically surrounding them. But what I'm finding difficult actually is showing the urgency of what's happening between, because you want to create some tension in the scene. And to create the tension, it has to look like they're actually in distress and there's actually imminent danger. And I've been having trouble depicting that. Now, as I go through the whole process and sketch this out, what I'm going to have to do when I get to my inking part, I always set my pencils up as just a rough draft. And then when I go back and I start doing the final inks, it gives me an opportunity to edit not only dialogue, but also what the scene looks like, because now I'm working from something that's not from scratch. When I'm sketching here, it's from scratch. It's just from my head, and I got to figure out what it looks like. But now that I have something as a starting point, which is basically my sketch that's going to be used as the underlay, when I go to the inking, I can like say, well, maybe I want to shift this character over here, or maybe I want to zoom out a little bit so I can see a little more. One of the things that I'm noticing is that sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? I drew this character too low. I need him to be taller and more menacing. So I need to maybe shift some things. That's what the nice thing that the tablet allows me to do is, because when I go to the final inks, I can change all this stuff and show what I really want to show, or I can actually scale things up or down. I can't manipulate, obviously, the pencil drawing, but I can go in and manipulate the inks on my tablet. So that'll give me an opportunity to edit and maybe create more tension in the scene, and maybe just look at it and maybe make some changes, because maybe I drew it not the way I really wanted. And an interesting thing is I've already changed the script, because I was thinking, as I started sketching it out, it made me kind of edit the script a little bit. And my whole, writing a script, sketching it out, going to final inks, those 3 steps in my comic making process basically allow me to edit at each step of the way. So I always kind of figure that I'm going to write the script. I'm going to think about what I want to write. It goes in the script, what the characters are saying, what's actually happening in the scene. And then I go to the sketching part and I'll make changes there. I'm like, oh, you know what? Maybe this doesn't work so well now that I can kind of see it. And then I'll even take that and refine it even further when I go to my inking and just change things there and make it more precise and change the dialogue. And there's a lot of different ways to edit, and it's a nice little check each step of the way to have that ability to edit along the way. And that's not only dialogue and context of the story, but also the drawing itself. Having that initial sketch to start from really allows you to manipulate it later, make it better. You can read each page and just see if it flows and if it depicts the action you want. So that's about it. I just wanted to talk about the difficulties of laying out an action sequence. And now it's been a fun process, and you can see in the drawing that I'm doing here, this is only 1 page of probably a 4 or 5 page sequence of action. So that's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed talking about sketching out an action sequence for your comic or movie or anything that you're plotting out action for. If you have any questions, comments, leave that in the comment section below. Go ahead and like the video, subscribe to my channel. Thank you for watching. We will see you next time. Have a great day.